Hey guys, it's Brody and welcome back to Ambitious Angler Fishing. In today's video, I'm going fly fishing for striped bass in the estuaries of PEI. But I should have known better. I came way too early and worked 2 hours of the incoming tide and 2 hours of the outgoing tide. I almost gave up. And then I found the striped bass out of nowhere. Yes sir, boys. I learned my lesson. Enjoy the video. All right, that's quite a steep bank we got in front of us here. But luckily, somebody hooked a rope. Nice. All right, cool. That's a handy mechanism. All right, folks, good morning. We're just down here at an estuary, just walking up towards a bridge right now. Planning on doing some fly fishing this morning, guys, for the striped bass. They've recently just showed up to PEI in the past week, and we're just kind of waiting them to disperse island wide. Caught a few here in my last few sessions and hoping to do the same thing today. All right, guys, so I'm usually using this setup when I fish bass, and I recommend anywhere between a 7 and 9 weight when you're fishing stripers on the fly, but I do the 9 weight version just to have that little extra comfort in case you hook into something that's 30 plus inches. It's nice to have some backbone here. So I'm using the 9 weight Lamson Guru reel and line, and then I got a pair with a 9 weight 9 foot Vision Granddaddy rod here. I've got intermediate sinking line normally, so that way I can fish just subsurface with it, or deep if I have to, let it sink down a bit. And tied down to my leader here, I have a 9 foot, 21 pound fluorocarbon leader. Okay, so fly selection. We have quite a few different ones in here, but for the most part, they all imitate the baits that I know that are in these regions. But there is one fly that works in most situations because it imitates most bait fish, and it's kind of your safest search option when you're just going out and you're looking for these stripers. It's called the minnow clouser here. And there's other things in this river like sand eels, so sometimes I'll throw on like sand eel imitations like this one. But my fly of choice this morning, guys, is going with the minnow clouser just to see if they're here. Now in PEI, we have to crimp our barbs. This here is already pinched down. Now I have on a couple occasions smacked myself with my fly lately, so I gotta be careful. Just hit myself again. I just hit myself again. Yeah, the water's slightly murkier than yesterday. They're not super fussy fish. They are very opportunistic fish, and sometimes they're just not here. And it just might be the tide they didn't want to come in with. So we still have to work another hour of the incoming tide before we get our lovely outgoing tide. This idiot. Ow. I spent 2.5 hours at this bridge, and I casted my fly line around, and I was literally fly fishing for nothing. At the beginning of the outgoing tide, about 30 minutes to an hour after the tide started to go out, I went to the bridge that was closer to the ocean. When I got there, the water was super high still. That means a lot of this tidal water was still pushed up high in the estuaries. I decided to target 3 points at this bridge. One was on the outside towards the ocean. Wasted my time casting the fly into these rips. I decided to go back into the estuary on the other side. Again, lots of water. Basically casting at nothing. These stripers are testing my patience today. I just about had it. So a little educational piece for you guys next time that you're fishing in the estuaries. If you're on PEI and you're gonna do some striped bass fishing, if you're gonna go beach fishing with bait or lures, whatever you prefer, it's best to do it on an incoming tide. Now, there are some locations on the island that I have fished on an outgoing tide, but that's usually after the peak high tide. You can fish about 2 to 3 hours because a lot of the bait will still be pushed up on shore. But generally, high tide on the beach, incoming bait with that tidal current, and then the stripers usually move up to ambush their prey. But whenever you're fishing inland in an estuary, for example, like this one, it's best to fish on an outgoing, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of this bait gets pushed up with the tidal current into these sand flats really far up shallow, and that is a very warm place for the water to warm up and the bait to be attracted to that area. And then, whenever the tide shifts to go back out, all this water that gets heated up on these sand flats and mud flats gets swept back out into the ocean. Stripers know to come into these areas on an outgoing tide because warm water means bait. So they'll come in here and they'll stage in particular areas around channels and points and structures like bridges, and then they will ambush their prey as the warm water and bait gets swept back out into the ocean. So that's why I recommend fishing on an outgoing tide whenever you're in inlets and estuaries similar to this one. I was just about to give up. I got in my vehicle, I was heading towards the bridge, and I just had to stop one last time. I made my way down, and well, I made my first cast. And then, got one, guys. Yes, out of nowhere. Yes, sir, boys. You got one. Yes, thank God. Well, that was very unexpected, guys. Jeez. Oh, good God. Man, I worked hard for you today. Yeah, I worked hard for this guy. There he is, guys, right on the middle clouser. Thanks, buddy. Thank you for kind of picking my spirits up today. Nice. So you guys are here. Good to know. Good to know. There he goes. Right down into the deep. All right, guys, on the board. It paid off. Yes! Look at that, guys. Right there, they're staged right in there. Heck yeah. Thank God. Okay, so next time come here about 1.5 hours to 2 hours post high tide, and we'll be good. Nice. Sick. Oh, he came off. Are you kidding me? What is that? What is that garbage, man? Oh, there he is. Yes. Got him. Just schoolies, but you know what? It does not matter, man. They're so fun on the fly rod. Let's pull this guy in shallow here. There he is. All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Tried to inhale that clouser in there. Inhaled it. Luckily they're barbless, which is good. Sorry, gotcha. Inhaled it. All right, let's get this beautiful striper back. All right, bud, thank you so much. There he goes. Bugger. So next time I come when I know the tide is going out fast. Okay, guys, I think I'm gonna make a fly change. I'm gonna go with a little cotton candy clouser here. It's got pink, blue, white, a little bit of flash there too. Switch that out from the chartreuse, see what this does. That tide is ripping, very strong right now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, got one, guys. Yes. Oh, he's thrashing good. Let's get him over in the current here. Nice. Yes. Oh. Heck yeah. He's using that current to his advantage here. Nice to put side pressure on them. Gotcha. All right. Awesome. Gotcha. All right, there we go. Nice. Heck yeah, guys. I let that cotton candy clouser sink down right into that deep area, and I stripped it right quick. There it is. Right on the cotton candy clouser there. Beautiful striper. Well, sir, that's 3 stripers today. Oh yeah, he was impatient. He wanted to go. They're right in here. That's where they're at. They're just staged in here. Well, there you have it, folks. I learned my lesson once again. It even boggles my mind because I explained to you guys specifically that it's best to fly fish these striped bass in the estuaries of PEI at least 2 hours post peak high tide. A lot of this tidal water will get flushed centrally to the channels. Along with that goes the bait fish and then the striper. That's why I was targeting these bridges, because the channels provide tons of current, which corral the bait fish and then get ambushed by the striped bass. So just a little lesson that I learned today that I can share with you guys so that way your next striped bass fishing trip can be successful. So if you guys did enjoy this informative video, please drop it a like, leave a comment below, consider subscribing if you haven't already. The 2025 PEI striped bass fishing season is just getting started. There's lots more striped bass fishing content to come. Until next time, guys, stay determined to cast because you are destined to catch. Take care.